the Vice President and members of the Bar Council, my friend Justice Nagarjun Reddy, Justice Ramakrishna Prasad. I don't know whether there are other judges of the Andhra Pradesh High Court. I'm sorry if I'm not able to recognize them. Members of the Bar Council, and ladies and gentlemen, Andariki Namaskaram. Nenu ninna sayantram, I'll be speaking in English as well as Telugu. I think it will be much easier for you also to understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you don't understand English, but I'll be more comfortable in speaking in Telugu also with you. నేను నిన్న సాయంత్రం మార్నింగ్ నుంచి సాయంత్రం దాకా పనిచేసి ఢిల్లీలో ఎయిర్పోర్ట్కి వచ్చాను. వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఇవాళ మాట్లాడాలి కదా అని ఆలోచిస్తున్నాను ఏం మాట్లాడాలని. ముందు నేను ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి మాట్లాడింది మీరు గుర్తుపెట్టుకుంటారా లేదా అనేది నాకు అనుమానం వచ్చింది. ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఐ వాజ్ థింకింగ్ అబౌట్ దిస్, వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఇంప్రెషన్ దట్ ఐ కెన్ క్రియేట్ ఆన్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ. As the chairman of the Bar Council was telling you, I come from a small village which is about 50 kilometers from here. I'm like any of you sitting in this crowd. At your age, I was also sitting like you and hearing some judges coming in and speaking, telling the lawyers about how they're important to the society, what they should do, what is public service, what is learning, etc. I should confess that I did not pay much attention when those judges were speaking. But I realized later that there's so much you can learn from the experience of persons who have led their life in law. నేను అలాంటి వాడినే 40 ఏళ్ళు లాయర్గా ఉన్నాను, జడ్జిగా కూడా ఉన్నాను. నేను ఇప్పుడు మొదలెట్టినట్టుగా చదువులో చాలా యావరేజ్ స్టూడెంట్. నేనేమో లా స్కూల్స్లో చదువుకోలేదు, ఆంధ్ర క్రిస్టియన్ కాలేజ్లో చదువుకున్నాను. When I was reading, I don't remember going to classes every day. I should confess that I was going to college only for a few days. Those were the days when people were trying for some other professions. ఎక్కడ పనికి రాకపోతే లా ప్రాక్టీస్ మొదలెట్టే రోజులవి. సో ఐ వెంట్ టు ఢిల్లీ. ఐ హ్యాడ్ హై హోప్స్ ఆఫ్ becoming an IAS officer or an IPS officer. 1 year I stayed there and then wrote my civil service examination. I couldn't get through. దాని తర్వాత ఏం చేయాలా, లా డిగ్రీ ఇచ్చారు కదా, సో ప్రాక్టీస్ మొదలెట్టాలని ప్రాక్టీస్ మొదలెట్టాను. ఇక్కడేనండి నేను ప్రాక్టీస్ గుంటూరులోనే మొదలెట్టాను. I was here for a year. Then I thought that I should shift to a higher court. అందుకని హైకోర్టుకి వెళ్ళాను. హైకోర్టులో 10 ఏళ్ళు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసిన తర్వాత I thought that I needed to challenge myself. Then I thought I should go to the Supreme Court. I was doing pretty well in the High Court. I had a number of cases. I had a number of juniors working with me. Ramarao was my colleague when I was a junior to Mr. Y. Suranarayana, from whom I have learnt everything. I owe what I am today to him. I worked for 5 years with him. Thereafter, all my friends were suggesting that I'm committing a mistake going to Delhi, because I'm pretty comfortable here and Delhi is a lottery. ఢిల్లీ వెళ్తే వర్క్ ఉంటుందా లేదా, మళ్ళీ ఏం చేయాలని. సరే మళ్ళీ నేను చెప్పే కదా మా ఊరు ఇక్కడే అని, ప్రాక్టీస్ లేకపోతే మా ఊరు వెళ్ళిపోతాను. మళ్ళీ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయలేం కదా హైకోర్టుకి వచ్చి. సో ఐ టుక్ దట్ ఛాలెంజ్ అండ్ వెంట్. ఐఎమ్ టెలింగ్ యూ ఆల్ దిస్ నాట్ టు tell about myself. I am telling you all this so that you can relate your lives with me. Not that I have achieved much. There's absolutely nothing I have achieved. There's so much to achieve. I see a future for myself at the age of 66, 67. So then I started practicing law. I had no godfathers. I am not from a lawyer's family. I am from a farmer's family. I found my feet I really worked hard, worked for about 14 hours a day. I continue to work for 14 hours even now, which means just take this 95, I shifted to Delhi from then to now. Every day I work for 14 hours. Why I'm telling you that I'm working for 14 hours is trying to tell you that all of you have to work if you have to succeed. I keep repeating this. Whatever I'm talking, I want you to reflect and then see what is it that you can learn from somebody's life, a person like you who has risen and become a Supreme Court judge after practicing law for so many years. I was very fortunate in getting opportunities. Getting an opportunity to argue in a court itself is something very difficult, especially in higher courts, the High Court or the Supreme Court. ఎవరన్నా నమ్మొచ్చి కేసు ఇవ్వాలి కదా సుప్రీం కోర్టులో ఆర్గ్యూ చేయమని, ఎందుకంటే దానిపైన వాళ్ళు అప్పీల్ లేదు. సో యు గో అండ్ దెన్ fortune favored me, so I got a number of opportunities and I was doing very well. జీవితంలో జడ్జి అవుదామని ఉద్దేశం ఎప్పుడూ లేదండి నాకు. I never wanted to become a judge. When I was asked to become a High Court judge when I was about 42 years, the Chief Justice told me that I can go to any High Court in this country. It took me only 2 seconds to tell him I don't want to become a judge, because I wanted to become a lawyer. I loved being a lawyer. Even today I repent why I accepted judgeship. Because a lawyer's life is much more thrilling than the life of a judge. The satisfaction that a lawyer gets when he succeeds in a matter for his client, I don't think I experienced it when I was a judge for 6 years. I'm not saying judgeship is not good. I'll tell you as I go on as to how important a judge is to the society. But for me personally, I always felt that being a lawyer is something very lucky for a person to be in such a great profession. And succeeding as a lawyer is something every person who joins law would want to. So that's what you work for. Initially, when I was asked to become a Supreme Court judge, he said no. Again, I was asked the second time, I accepted, and then I went back to the verandas. I saw I can't miss these verandas of the Supreme Court. Going around in the verandas and sitting in the canteen with all friends, I thought that's more interesting than sitting as a judge and hearing cases from morning to evening. Again, I withdrew the consent. When I was asked the third time in 2016, I thought destiny was chasing me. Even then I told the Chief Justice, I'll come back tomorrow morning and tell you. He said, no, you sign now and go. I was in Pathurst in court. Then he told me there are 3 other judges whose appointments are waiting for you. I can't give you any time. I don't know, some weak moment I accepted and signed. Next day I went and asked the Chief Justice, can I withdraw? He said, I've already sent it to the government. So there's nothing you can do about it. So I became a judge. Now I'm telling you, the role of a judge is also very important in the society. I enjoyed being a judge. To the best of my ability, I think that I have done whatever I could do as a judge for 6 years. After laying down office in 2022, I have started doing arbitrations, which is, you know what an arbitration is, adjudication again outside court under the Arbitration Act. I do not only domestic arbitrations, international arbitrations in London, Singapore, Dubai, also in South Africa. This is where I said that I want to do something more. I want to challenge myself. I want all of you to learn to challenge yourself. You don't need to see a competitor in somebody else. Every person, every human being rather, in whatever profession he might be, should feel that he should excel in whatever he is doing. You should think of being at the top. You dream high. You might not reach there. Then only you will reach somewhere. There's no point in being in the crowd. There's no point in saying it's all right, I'm also leading my life. So every person should definitely think about what he is going to be in the next 5 years, what is going to be in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years. I just told you all this only because you should realize You don't need to come from an affluent family. You don't need to come from an advocate's family. You don't need to be a son or a daughter of a judge to succeed in this profession. Each one of you can succeed in this profession if I could. That is the reason I told you what my life is all about, and I also want you to realize that it's not very difficult. The only thing that you have to do is work hard, be in the right place at the right time, and make the correct choice as to what you want to do. This is what you will have to realize. And once you do this, I don't think it's very difficult to succeed in this profession. I'm not going to speak much today. I want you to speak. This is going to be an interactive session. I'll ask you a few small questions and I want answers from you, and thereafter I want you to tell me what you understand about the role of an advocate or a role of a judge in the administration of justice. You know what administration of justice is. This is what courts do, administering justice. So what is the role of a lawyer in this? What is the role of a judge? I'll just speak for another 10-15 minutes and then I want you to speak. I want to understand from you what you think about the role is, what do you think the deficiencies are, and what do you expect? You're all lawyers. What do you expect from judges about their role in administration of justice? So this is how we will proceed. I'll ask you to answer later. I want you to tell me what is the difference between law and justice. Sattaniki, Nyayaniki, Teda enti. Are they the same? Are they interrelated? Please think, and then I'll ask you a little later after 15-20 minutes. I want whoever can tell me what is the difference between these two, please tell me. And the other thing is, I think most of your courts would be having a statue of Lady of Justice outside your courts. And she is blindfolded. In some of the courts following the US practice, she has a sword also, along with the balance in her hand. Why is this Lady of Justice blindfolded? So you just think about it and tell me if you know why is this Lady of Justice to whom we all go and then see, and then sometimes we go and then garland her when we go to courts as judges. Why is she blindfolded? Later. Just reserve for yourself after 10-15 minutes. I want whoever can tell me what it is all about. I'm not testing your knowledge again. Please don't misunderstand me. I just want to understand whether people give importance to small things like this. We are all told that we are in a noble profession. Why do you call this a noble profession? How are we different from other professions like a chartered accountant or a doctor or an engineer? They are also part of building the society. How are we different? Why do we call ourselves noble profession? You must have heard about this. I'm not very sure, but I'll tell you. To bring change in the society, kill all lawyers, is what Shakespeare said in one of his plays. అంటే మనం విషయం అన్నమాట, అందరం చంపేయమని లాయర్లు అందరం, అప్పుడే సొసైటీ బాగుంటుంది. షేక్స్పియర్. But we are also called reptiles. సొసైటీలో చెడు మాట్లాడే ప్రొఫెషన్ ఏదైనా ఉందంటే నెంబర్ 1 మనమే, లాయర్స్. తర్వాత డాక్టర్లు, హాస్పిటల్ డబ్బులు తీసుకుంటున్నాయి, అవన్నీ తర్వాత. ఫస్ట్ లాయర్స్. ది ఎనిమీ ఆఫ్ ద సొసైటీ is lawyers. Why is this? That on one hand we call ourselves belonging to a noble profession, on the other we are accused of all these things. Do we deserve this? So this is something which I think we should think about. What is this? Lawyers are not treated well in the society. And what is the role that we play in the administration of justice? Lawyers play the most important role in the administration of justice. What is administration of justice? We have laws, we have to implement those laws. And the courts are there. The courts enforce the constitution as well as the laws. And judges cannot enforce these laws without the assistance of lawyers. I'm telling you, without the assistance of lawyers, it's impossible for a judge to administer justice. That's how important the profession of law is. I will not say that you are two wheels of a chariot. Actually, you are the bigger wheel. The role of a judge in this administration of justice is definitely not as important as the role of a lawyer. Why do I say this? The confidence of public in the institution of judiciary is pivot to good administration of justice, which means that it's so important. ముందు ప్రజలకి మన ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ పైన నమ్మకం లేకపోతే ఇంక ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ నడవదు. So if people have to have confidence in the institution of judiciary, that is only through lawyers. You are the ones who are interacting with the clients who are coming to court, or people who want to approach the courts for administration of justice or for justice. Administration is done by the court for justice. So for them to come to court, you should inspire confidence in them that you will get justice if you go to court. Resolving dispute is the most important thing for harmony in the society. Otherwise, there will be absolutely, it will be a jungle. It will not be a civilized society. And resolution of disputes happens through lawyers. So the question each one of us have to put to ourselves is that are we equipped to do our jobs in getting justice to our clients? లా పాస్ అయ్యాం, బాగానే ఉంది. లా పాస్ అయిన తర్వాత మనం ఏం చేసాం అనేది ఇంపార్టెంట్. నేను చెప్పే కదా, నేను లా పాస్ అయ్యాను ఏసీ కాలేజ్ నుంచి. బట్ when I went to Hyderabad, when I started practice, I found that I don't know anything. I went to Delhi, I started practice, I thought that, my God, there's so much to learn. I became a judge and then I was thinking that, how do I manage this? I don't know anything. Even today, I feel that there's so much to learn. Whatever we know is only a drop in the ocean. Law is very vast. How do we learn it? So even if you haven't had good education by not being fortunate in going to national law schools, etc., you have come from some traditional law schools like AC College or some other college, you can improve. You can learn. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, people who have studied Telugu medium, who did not study in convents, have risen to be Supreme Court judges, have risen to be one of the best lawyers in the country, only by hard work and industry. They've learned. They've learned by the way, they've learned by reading, they've learned by working hard. So it's not as if anything is beyond us once we start learning. We had a senior counsel from Andhra Pradesh in the Supreme Court by name Mr. P.P. Rao. I don't know how many of you have heard about him. ఆయన నేను ఢిల్లీ వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత I went and met him twice or thrice while briefing him to argue matters. ఒకసారి పోయి బ్రీఫ్ చేస్తే he used to make notes and then underline everything, again get the text and then dictate whatever he has to argue to the stenographer. You again go to him after a month in the same matter to brief him. ఆయన ఈ ఎక్సర్సైజ్ మళ్ళీ రిపీట్ చేసేవాడు. నార్మల్గా తెలుగులో లాయర్లు ఏమంటారంటే, నేను ఆల్రెడీ చదివే కదా, నువ్వు నన్ను బ్రీఫ్ చేసావు, నా నోట్స్ కూడా ఉంది, నేను ఆర్గ్యూ చేస్తాను వెళ్ళంటే, ఏదైనా కొత్తగా ఏదైనా ఉంటే చెప్పమని. You go to him the third time, he'll again do it. I asked him, why are you doing all this? Then he told me, నేను మిగతా వాళ్ళలాగా అంత పెద్ద తెలియగలను కాదు, బట్ ఐ ట్రై టు మ్యాచ్ దెమ్ బై వర్కింగ్ దట్ ఎక్స్ట్రా అవర్. This is something which I have learnt. I'm also an average person. To compete with persons who are more competent, who are more intelligent, whose IQ is more, the only way you can do it is work a little more harder. You read the brief twice, thrice, 4 times. You read the law. You read it again and again. You will definitely learn. ఎంత మట్టి బుర్ర అయినా కూడా 10 సార్లు చదివితే ఆటోమేటిక్గా గుర్తుంటుంది. So all this is industry. So first things what we have to do is, after you come out of college, don't think that we have a law degree, there's nothing to learn. We have 3 new criminal laws coming into force in another 15-20 days. Have we started working? Have we started looking into the law? What is the advice that we are going to give to the clients if we don't know what the law is? There's a complete change. Even persons who have been practicing for 40 years, I know IPC, I know CRPC, I know Evidence Act. But there are amendments that are made to all the 3 acts. The sections have changed, the philosophy has changed in some of the chapters. How are we going to tell the client about all these things when they come to us? So we will have to first start reading. So I think I would advise you to buy books if you haven't bought, and then start reading now itself. I'm not saying that you haven't. Most of you must have purchased, but some of you must have been taking it easy. Let us see when it comes. Please don't do that, because you're going to advise clients tomorrow. There are amendments that are made to even provisions pertaining to arrest, etc. So if somebody from your ilaka is coming and asking you what are the provisions relating to arrest, what are the safeguards, you might not be able to advise them properly. The major problem is with half-baked lawyers not advising the clients properly and the clients not getting justice in courts. That's not what administration of justice is about. I'm just telling you about the criminal procedure code, etc., because every law has to be ingrained by you. Every law with which you are comfortable. Assume that I'm doing only motor vehicle accidents case. At least I should be proficient in that branch of law. Because I have to advise clients who are coming to me, telling them that this is the law. Law keeps changing. Supreme Court writes one judgment today, writes another judgment in next month. Unless you keep abreast yourself about what is happening in courts, you would not be able to advise them properly. So the role that is played by a lawyer in the administration of justice starts with learning. Learning is something which I said is a lifelong experience. Youngsters who are coming out of college, you will have to think that my recognition as a lawyer should come from my merit of being a lawyer, nothing else. ఏదో పార్టీలో జడ్జిని కలిసాము, ఆయనకి ఏదో కాఫీ ఇచ్చాము, ప్లేట్ అందించాము, దీంతో ఆర్డర్ ఇస్తాడు అనుకునేది చాలా పొరపాటు. ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ థింక్ లైక్ దట్. Don't run behind judges. Don't think that by recommendations you are going to succeed in this profession. Some of them might, but that's not the proper way to succeed in the profession. Your recognition should come by your performance in court. You're every day in a theater, and your performance is watched now by the entire world because of these virtual hearings, but otherwise at least people who are sitting in court, the judge as well as the lawyers, your compatriots as well as the clients, and the manner in which you acquit yourself in court is what you're going to get work from. That's the only way you can get work from. With recommendations you can get appointments, but you won't get work. You might be appointed to some corporations as standing counsel, get work, but otherwise, insofar as private work is concerned, it will come only through your merit. Every lawyer should think of improving his merit. Every lawyer should be recognized only by the manner in which he behaves with the bar, the manner in which he acquits himself in court, as well as the learning that he has of the subject. So, learning is something which is non-negotiable. నేను చదవకుండా ప్రాక్టీస్లో ఉంటాను అనేది చాలా పొరపాటు. డబ్బులు సంపాదించవచ్చు, డబ్బులు సంపాదించడానికి ప్రొఫెషన్ ఎందుకంటే ఇంకేదైనా చేయొచ్చు, స్క్రాప్ అమ్ముకోవచ్చు. మనం నల్ల కోట్లు వేసుకొని పెద్ద లాయరు, సొసైటీలో నాకు చాలా మర్యాద ఉంది ఇవన్నీ, ఐ థింక్ ఆల్ దిస్ ఈజ్ నాట్ గుడ్. దట్స్ ద రీజన్ వీఆర్ కాల్డ్ రెప్టైల్స్. So if you want to be a responsible lawyer playing a part in the administration of justice, first things first, you'll have to be a learned person. Being a learned person is not going to come overnight. నా దగ్గర ఒక జూనియర్ ఉండేవాడు ఢిల్లీలో. ఆయన 1 నెలలోనో 2 నెలల్లోనో కపిల్ సిబుల్ అయిపోదామని ప్రయత్నం చేశాడు. ఏం చేసేవాడు, రాత్రి అంతా చదువుతూ ఉండేవాడు. రాత్రి పగలు జడ్జిమెంట్లు చదువుతూ ఉండేవాడు. చదివితే అర్థం కాదండి అలాగా. నేను కూడా ట్రై చేశాను, చదువు అని. బట్ త్వరలోకి ఎక్కాలి కదా. ఇట్స్ నాట్ దట్ ఈజీ. As I said, it's a lifelong experience. You learn by the hour, you learn by the day, you learn by the month and a year. సో ఒకసారి చదవకపోతే 2 సార్లు అలాగా. బట్ అదర్వైజ్ సడన్గా క్యాప్స్యూల్ లాగా నెల రోజుల్లోనో 2 నెలల్లోనో అన్నీ వచ్చేయాలంటే అయ్యే పని కాదు. అందుకని లెర్నింగ్ కూడా కాన్స్టెంట్గా ఉండాలి. ఐఎమ్ నాట్ సేయింగ్ మీరు ఋషుల్లాగా అన్ని పనులు మానేసి పుస్తకాలే పట్టుకోమని కాదు. యూ ప్లీజ్ సెటప్ టైమ్ ఎవ్రీ డే. యంగ్స్టర్స్, యూ థింక్ దట్ ఐఎమ్ గోయింగ్ టు వాట్ ఎవర్ హ్యాపెన్స్, ఐఎమ్ గోయింగ్ టు రీడ్ అట్లీస్ట్ ఫర్ 4 hours a day. ఇప్పుడు అందరికీ కంప్యూటర్లు ఉన్నాయండి, అందరి దగ్గర మొబైల్ ఫోన్లు ఉన్నాయి, ఈ యాప్స్, లా యాప్స్ అందరికీ అవైలబుల్గా ఉన్నాయి. పాత రోజుల్లో అంటే నేను జూనియర్గా పనిచేసే రోజుల్లో మా సీనియర్ ఏదన్నా ఒక జడ్జిమెంట్ తీయమంటే అది ఒక జడ్జిమెంట్ వెతకడానికి ఒక డైజెస్ట్ వెతికి దాంట్లోంచి ఒక జడ్జిమెంట్ తీసి ఒక రోజంతా పట్టేది, ఓ 4-5 జడ్జిమెంట్లు తీయడానికి. ఇప్పుడు అదేం అవసరం లేదు. నేను ఆస్క్ మై కలీగ్స్, ఈ లా క్లాక్స్ కానీ వీళ్ళందరినీ 10 నిమిషాల్లో దే కమ్ అప్ విత్ 25 జడ్జ్మెంట్స్ అండ్ ఆల్ రెలవెంట్ జడ్జ్మెంట్స్, బికాజ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఇస్ ది క్లిక్ ఆఫ్ ఎ బటన్. And I'm sure that all of you are acquainted with these computers, etc. So I think you have facilities now where you save time on unnecessary things, and then if you can utilize this time for learning more and more, all of you will definitely play a major role in administration of justice. See, manandar paina there is a big burden on our shoulders. Entra adante man institution paru kaapadukotam. There's a lot of disrepute that is coming even to the institution of judiciary. So all of us have this great burden. Hercules laga manam mostunam danni aa burden ni. So all of us have to play a role. Ippudu mana institution ledante manam andaram lemu. If people stop having confidence in the judiciary and they don't go to court, manam panlu manesi inkedana pani cheyali poyi. Prastutaniki inka undi. There's some hope for people in the judiciary. But there's so much said against the judiciary. So we will have to change this perception of people to the judiciary. A person who's coming to any lawyer should feel that I'm getting a proper advice. Judge garu double iddam ani cheppaledu lawyer garu. Other side manage cheddam ani cheppaledu lawyer garu. Nee case lo point undi, nenu baga chadivi argue chesi nee case gelustanu ani cheppadu. This is how we should be. I'm coming to the next point about the quality of a lawyer should be integrity. Manishiki integrity lekapothe I think there's no point in living. Especially when somebody is coming to you for help. So you should be honest and you should have integrity. So this integrity has to be ingrained in ourselves. I am 100% sure that whatever I am saying is only an ideal situation. Utopian అంటారు. రామరాజ్యంలో మాట్లాడుతున్నాను నేను. నాకు తెలిసి మీరులో పనిచేసే వాళ్ళు, ఇక్కడ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు చాలామంది మఫ్సిల్స్లో లాయర్గా ఉండుంటారు. That's what I was told. Most of you are practicing in the mafsil courts. I know how difficult it is. When you start practicing law, you'll have to think of your survival, sustenance. You get married, you'll have to take care of your family, and all of you might not be very fortunate in having sufficient work to take care of yourself and your families. And you are anxious that you have to get work. And in this anxiety to get work, you might not be patient to wait because you don't have the resources to wait. So you might be diverting your path or deviating your path to somehow or other get work. Go to police stations or go to other people or try to get appointments through political ways. There might be compulsions. I really understand. మన దేశంలో ఉన్న 20 లక్షల మంది లాయర్లు ప్రపంచంలో ఎక్కడ ఉండరు. నేను పొద్దున్నే రామకృష్ణతో అడుగుతున్నాను మాట్లాడుతూ వచ్చేప్పుడు. ఐ వాజ్ టెలింగ్ హిమ్, ఇంతమంది లాయర్లకి ఎక్కడుంది పని కోర్టుల్లో? 5 కోట్ల కేసులు పెండింగ్ ఉన్నాయండి మన దేశంలో. నేను ఎక్కడ పోయిందో చెప్తా ఉంటాను. 5 కోట్ల కేసులు ఇవన్నీ అయిపోవటానికి ఆ నీతి ఆయోగ్ ప్రకారంగా 326 సంవత్సరాలు పట్టుద్దట. సో అది అయిపోయే లోపు మళ్ళీ ఇంకొక 5 కోట్లు వస్తాయి. మరి ఇన్ని కోట్ల కేసులు పెండింగ్ ఉండి మరి లాయర్లకి వర్క్ ఎందుకు లేదు? సొసైటీలో లానే డిస్పారిటీస్, ఉన్నవాడికి చాలా ఉన్నాయి, లేనివాడికి లేదు. ఐ హ్యావ్ సీన్ దిస్ కంట్రీ. నేను చెప్పా కదా, ఐ వాజ్ వెరీ ఫార్చునేట్ ఇన్ సక్సీడింగ్ ఇన్ ద ప్రొఫెషన్. ఈ దేశంలో అన్ని హైకోర్టులోనే ఆర్గ్యూ చేశాను కేసులు నేను. ఈ దేశం నలుమూలలో చూశాను నేను లాయర్ల పరిస్థితి ఏంటనేది. అందుకని అన్నాను లాయర్ పని మానేయకూడదని. అంత ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్గా ఉండేది. నేను కొన్ని కోర్టుల్లో ఆ లాయర్లని వరండాల్లో కూర్చొని పేపర్లు అక్కడ పెట్టుకొని క్లయింట్ల కోసం వెయిట్ చేసే కోర్టులు చూశాను. హైకోర్ట్, నాట్ ఈవెన్ మఫ్సల్ కోర్ట్స్. ఐ మెన్షన్ అలహాబాద్ హైకోర్ట్. బయట ఆ టీ బండిలా ఉంటే ఆ పక్కన బోర్డు పెట్టుకొని లాయర్ గారు కూర్చుంటారు అక్కడ. ఆ టీ వాడితో మాట్లాడతా. ఇలాగా వేల మంది లాయర్లు ఉన్నారు. నేను ఢిల్లీలో ఒక ఇల్లు కొనుక్కున్నాను. రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ కోసం ఆఫీస్కి వెళ్ళాల్సి వచ్చింది. సరే, నాకు ఎవరైతే ఏజెంట్ ఉన్నాడో తీసుకెళ్ళి ఒక లాయర్ సహాయం అడిగామో ఆయనకు 10,000 రూపాయలు ఇవ్వాలన్నాడు. సరే పర్వాలేదు ఇవ్వు చేస్తారులే. ఆ గ్రేటర్ నోయిడా ఆఫీస్కి వెళ్తే 250 మంది లాయర్లు అక్కడ కూర్చొన్నారండి. వాళ్ళు చేసే పని ఏంటంటే పైరవి. కోర్టులో కేసులు ఆర్గ్యూ చేయటం కదా, నా దగ్గర ఉన్న పేపర్లు తీసుకొని రిజిస్ట్రార్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి ఆయన దగ్గర సంతకం పెట్టించుకొని పేపర్లన్నీ సరిగ్గా ఉన్నాయో లేదో చూసి తీసుకొచ్చి ఇస్తారు. అండ్ దే గెట్ దట్ 5,000-10,000 రూపీస్. ఐ ఆస్క్డ్ దెమ్, ఎంతమంది లాయర్లు ఉన్నారు ఇక్కడ? దే సెడ్ దేర్ ఆర్ అబౌట్ 500 lawyers in that small registrar's office. So this is how bad the situation is. I fully understand the situation of lawyers at the ground. It's not easy, but you'll have to rise above all this. You'll have to find new avenues of work. కోర్టులో సివిల్ కేసులు తక్కువ ఉన్నాయి. జడ్జిలు అంటారు సివిల్ లా ఎవరు చేయట్లేదండి, అందరూ మోటార్ వెహికల్స్ యాక్సిడెంట్ కేసులే చేస్తున్నారు. లేకపోతే దే ఆర్ ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్ ఓన్లీ ఇన్ బెయిల్ అప్లికేషన్స్ ఆర్ యాంటిసిపేటరీ బెయిల్స్. సో యూ సీ బోత్ సైడ్స్ ఆఫ్ దిస్. నేను ఇక్కడ గుంటూరులో ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసేప్పుడు గుంటూరు వాజ్ నోన్ టు బి ఎ గుడ్ ప్లేస్ వేర్ సీనియర్ సివిల్ లాయర్స్ వేర్ దేర్. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ ఐ బీన్ ఫైండింగ్ అవుట్ పీపుల్ విల్ సే చాలా తక్కువ మంది ఉన్నారండి సివిల్ లా చేసేవాళ్ళని. ఎందుకు? వై ఇస్ దట్ డెర్త్? దట్స్ ఓన్లీ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ అవర్ బీయింగ్ వెరీ యాంగ్షియస్ అబౌట్ మేకింగ్ మోర్ అండ్ మోర్ మనీ. నాతో పాటు ఉన్న కలీగ్ ఒక కారు కొనుక్కున్నాడు, నీకు ఇంకా స్కూటరే ఉంది. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ఐ థింక్ థింగ్స్ విచ్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు సప్రెస్ ఫర్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్. యూ థింక్ అబౌట్ నేను ఏం జరిగినా కూడా నా పని నేను తప్పు చేయను, చదువుకుంటాను, వస్తుంది. అందరికి అవకాశం వస్తుందండి. సమ్ పీపుల్ మైట్ గెట్ ఇట్ ఆఫ్ 2 years, సమ్ పీపుల్ మైట్ గెట్ ఇట్ ఆఫ్టర్ 10 years. వన్స్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎంటర్డ్ ద ప్రొఫెషన్ యూ విల్ హ్యావ్ టు వెయిట్. సో ప్లీజ్ వెయిట్ ఫర్ యువర్ ఛాన్స్ and do the right thing. Otherwise you go and then join some law firm, a law company, a law officer or whatever. Don't be in the profession. Because there's no point. Survive avvatam kashtam ainappudu untam kashtam. Tappu mattuku cheyaddu. That's why I said integrity. This is one quality which would go a long way in improving the administration of justice in this country. I'm talking about lawyers and the qualities that they should have. The learning, integrity. The third one is public service. Why am I talking of public service? See, people call this profession a noble profession because apart from your survival, which is not spoken of, you as a lawyer is supposed to serve the life, liberty and property of an individual. People practicing in the constitutional courts, they argue about rights. You have the fundamental rights, all of you might be knowing, which are the Bill of Rights. So our lawyers very carefully guard these rights of citizens by filing writ petitions, etc. Property is something which is taken care of not only in the High Court and Supreme Court if the government is acting in excess, or otherwise even resolving disputes in the civil courts. Public service is because every person in the society looks up to a lawyer. I'm not saying that they're doing it now, but otherwise, I remember Justice Kodandaramaiah, who was a retired judge of the United Andhra Pradesh High Court, if you call him, Justice Narasimha's father. He told me once that he went a long time back to Varanasi and he knew nobody there. He went there and then told the person, some person, he didn't know Hindi also. So he asked him, can you help me? And then the person was not willing to help. And then he told somebody that he is a vakil. The moment he said that he was a vakil, there were 10 people who came to help him. This was early 1960s, 1970s, about 50, 60 years back. He said, Nageshwarrao, yanta maryadaya valaki vakil ante. This is the respect that vakil had in the society those days. But do we get the same respect if you go and tell somebody you're an advocate? Merely because we put a sticker on our car that we are an advocate, we think that the police will not stop us. That's how we have come to. And then I know of people wearing black coats in the evenings thinking that whatever they do, police will not do anything. But this will not beget respect. Respect comes only through your demeanor. Respect comes through your behavior. Respect is something which you can't demand, but you can command by your behavior, by your attitude to the society. So respect cannot be asked, so it will not come like that. So we have a dire need to change ourselves. It's not only these 500-600 people here, but let us make the change here. Every day, let us think about from today that, am I doing the right thing? Where am I? Can I do something for the public? As I was talking to the public service. There are so many people who do not know what their rights are. There are so many people who can't even think of going to court. So if you can just think about those persons and try to help them. Because you are the persons who are supposed to know law. You are the persons who can enforce law in courts. That's what they are looking to you for. So there is so much of service that can be delivered or rendered by a lawyer apart from taking care of his livelihood. So if you are able to help people in getting justice, that itself is great service. That's why we are different from a doctor or an engineer. That's why we call ourselves a noble profession. I'm going to ask you later as to what you think about a noble profession. Now, I've said enough about lawyers. Now, how is it that judges can play a role in the administration of justice? I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this job of a judge is very difficult. Or otherwise, the other side lawyer was purchased. So I tried to tell them that I can't argue in the Supreme Court that the judge has been purchased. Please don't tell me all this. So you tell me whether there's a point, then only this I can argue. Once we lose a case, there is no necessity of blaming a judge. A judge has to decide either way. There are two people who are going to court. So one person wins the matter, the other person says, this fellow has taken money. It's so easy to accuse a person of not having any integrity, of being corrupt. See our plight as judges of the Constitutional Court. You decide in favor of a private party, people would say that he has taken money from the private party. You decide in favor of a government, people would say that he wants some employment after retirement, that's why he has decided in favor of the government. The poor judges, how can they? And you expect them to be not rude, not aggressive. It is difficult for a human person, for a human being to sit there and then maintain equanimity. So please have some consideration for judges. There might be some judges who are not good judges. There might be judges who do not have the quality of being patient, the quality of not showing tolerance, being aggressive, being rude to lawyers. It is just a reflection of the bar. ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చామండి మేమంతా మీలోంచే కదా. మేము పైనుంచి ఊడిపడలేదు. We are all part of you. Someday somebody comes and then says you're going to become a judge, you're a judge, that's all. Otherwise మేమే పెద్ద పరీక్షలు పాస్ అయ్యి మీకంటే ఎక్కువ మార్కులు వచ్చి సెలెక్ట్ అయింది ఏం లేదు ఇక్కడ మన సిస్టంలో. సో ఇఫ్ lawyers are a reflection of the society, judges are a reflection of the lawyers. When you say so many lawyers are there, అందులో మంచివాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, చెడ్డవాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, తెలివిగల వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, తెలివిలేని వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, అలానే జడ్జెస్లో కూడా అన్ని రకాలు ఉంటారు. You'll have to put up with them. And I also used to tell my lawyers, don't complain about judge. Your job is to succeed before a judge by arguing in the manner in which you can get an order from him. That's what you're engaged for. What is the difference between you and another person if you are not able to somehow or the other manage with a judge who might not be the person whom you like? So have some consideration to judges and the problems that they have. And I'll also tell you that ఏదో జడ్జి గారికి ఒక కారు ఉంది, పోలీసులు ఉన్నారు, ఓ రెడ్ లైట్ ఉంది, దీనికోసం అని చెప్పి 40 ఏళ్ళు వచ్చిన తర్వాత ప్రతివాడు జడ్జి అయిపోదామని. Don't ever think about you're trying to work your way to become a judge. My experience has been that when somebody asks you to become a judge, you should not refuse it. Otherwise, you don't run behind this post. That should never happen. Because once you are going there only to experience power, not to discharge your duty. And if you are not equipped, you are going to suffer every day. కోర్టులో కూర్చొని కేసులు వినేటప్పుడు విషయం తెలియలేదు అనుకోండి, మీరేదో వచ్చి పెద్ద లా చెప్పి సుప్రీంకోర్టు జడ్జిమెంట్లని చెప్తే ఇప్పుడు జడ్జిమెంట్ రాయాలి కదా. సో వెరీ డిఫికల్ట్ టు డిశ్చార్జ్ డ్యూటీస్. అందుకని డయాబెటీస్, బ్లడ్ ప్రెషర్ అన్నీ వస్తాయి జడ్జిలకి. బికాస్ they're not able to take it every day. It's not that easy. What is it that you expect from a judge? You expect a judge to be impartial. No favoritism, no nepotism. Number 2, the most important quality, honesty and integrity. As I told you about lawyers, judges is completely non-negotiable. Integrity అనేది వాళ్ళకి ఆలోచన లేదు. అది తప్పు చేయకూడదు అంతే. That's how a judge has to be. Judge has to be patient, tolerant to what is happening in court. It's difficult, but having accepted the job, you can't complain. If you have to sit from 10:30 to 8 o'clock. But otherwise, you'll have to maintain your equanimity and hear cases. So, with all these qualities, what else do you need from a judge? A judge is seen with some respect. So, it's not only your conduct in court, but even your conduct outside court counts. How a judge is doing whatever he is doing. So, people think that, oh, this is the way a person has to be. All righteousness is seen in a judge. We have some restatement of value for judges అని 1997లో సుప్రీం కోర్టు ఇష్యూ చేశారు. 15 ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ ఉంది. జడ్జెస్ అందరూ అది ఫాలో అవ్వాలి. I've been seeing as a lawyer and as a judge that this is a human quality that all of us want our names to be in the newspapers, photographs to be in the newspapers. Everybody would want publicity, people speaking in TVs, etc. Even judges also are like that. They would also want some publicity for what they are doing. This is something which we should not do. Any publicity should come from your judgments. Any publicity should come from what you do in court. And that you should not work for judges. I know of Supreme Court judges who are only talking to the gallery and not to the lawyer. I've seen my own experience, I know. So this is something which every judge has to keep away from. A judge should not have any sort of a political inclination or a lineage. Absolutely not. I can't be seen to be aligned to a party. There was a high court at some point of time called a court of one party and another party. I'm not speaking of our states. It should not be done. So people should not go to court on the basis of which judge is hearing the case, whether this person is going to hold against a particular political party or people who are sympathizers of the political party. We should not make any comments which give a signal that somebody is aligned to a political party. Even lawyers, every lawyer has a right to support a party. Every lawyer has a right to believe in the philosophy of a party. You know, so many lawyers who become ministers at the center, Kapil Sibal, Chidambaram, Abhishek Singhvi, so many people are there who belong to various political parties. But when they come to court, you should see the camaraderie which they have. They don't fight. I know of this state where people fight on political lines in the bar. Please stop that. Please do stop that. Please don't do that. Don't pollute your bar associations and bar council on the basis of your political inclinations. So, don't do that. That is very bad. Now I'll go back to judges. So judges should not be seen or should not be even perceived to be people who are supporting any party. Even a remote chance of somebody saying that, oh, why are you supporting this party? Orders might be passed. Every order that is passed will definitely be criticized in social media. And we have seen in this state social media even making personal comments against judges. Poor judges, they can't even speak. They can't go to the press. They can't make statements. It is for you to protect the judges. Who will protect the judges? The bar has to come to the forefront to protect the judges. So if judges are also ruffled, if judges do not have the courage to pass an order in a particular case, there's no justice. Why are we talking of administrative justice? Assuming a case is coming before me, I have to decide the bail application of somebody who belongs to a particular political party. Even before I take the bail application in social media, there are news saying that this fellow belongs to the same caste as the person whose bail is taking. What can the judge do? If he recuses, people will say this is not what you are supposed to do. You are a coward. On the other hand, if he decides whichever way, that just imagine the plight of a judge at home. Next day he has to go to court and then decide that matter. Now, fortunately, I did not face in Delhi because caste, etc. is not there. But if you are coming from a particular state, the one thing I want to tell here, gentlemen, this country will not develop unless we give up caste as a mode of identification of a person. Even Ambedkar said in his last speech in the Constituent Assembly, I remember the date, I think 26th of November 1949, just before the Constitution was adopted. He said, you have got political independence, but we did not get independence because at that point of time there were about 3,500 castes in the country. He said the entire country is divided on the basis of caste. How is it that there is any independence? I don't think the situation has improved even now. I keep on thinking, Manavadu, Navadu, how are we going to develop? And where is this going to? You don't want any person belonging to a different caste, a religion or region to succeed. All the time we are spending only about other people not doing well. In this profession, I have seen right from day one, if you are weeping over other fellow's success, you will never succeed. You are not going to do well because the other fellow has done well. He might be incompetent, but he is lucky he has got it. That's how you should be. So please stop thinking on caste lines. Caste is something which has been a bane of the society, especially in this state of Andhra Pradesh. So all of you as lawyers, you will have to enlighten the people that will have to rise above all this. What are we speaking of Article 14? We speak of right to equality. Equality is a part of justice. Everybody has to be equal in the eyes of law. Where is equality? So all of us have to shed this. I'll come back to the last leg of my lecture on how judges would contribute to the administration of justice. I just want to say something. There's nothing serious about it. There's something called the Contempt of Courts Act. So, one retired Chief Justice told me that he went to a club in Bangalore. And he saw two people fighting about some car being reversed. When Kelly inko car nu kottadu. Aa car lo vadu digi nuvendu na car nu kottavu ante vadu nee sangati telustanu nenu contempt notice issue chestanu. So వాడికి అర్థం కాలేదు ఏంటి కంటెంప్ట్ అని. వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్ కంటెంప్ట్? సెడ్ యూ కమ్ అండ్ హిట్ మై కార్ అండ్ దెన్ యూ సే ఇష్యూ కంటెంప్ట్, యూ డూ వాట్ ఎవర్ యూ వాంట్. సో దెన్ ద రిటైర్డ్ చీఫ్ జస్టిస్ గోస్ దేర్ టు సీ వాట్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్. And then the judge says that, brother, see, this fellow did not stop the car properly. He stopped it here. I went and hit. And that fellow stood up and said, what is this contempt? I don't understand. So for a parking problem also, if a judge is going and saying that I will haul you up for contempt, so how is it that we are dealing with these contempts? I know of a retired judge holding court on a railway platform in Delhi because he was not given a berth. But PS in Pilchin Unchobeti, he started saying that I'm going to commit you for contempt. Contempt is not for these purposes, gentlemen and ladies. See, if a judge would want to satisfy himself, to show that he is the boss, and then you want all the officers working in the state or center to come and stand before you from morning to evening, that's not the reason why contempt power has been given. Even in England, where we took the Contempt of Court Act from, has given away contempt. Contempt of Court Act is only for the purpose of showing that there is majesty of law. Because an order passed by the court has to be implemented. What is the use of passing an order? Miro chief court order passes, order implement over. So people should respect law. People should respect courts. If at all they don't do it, yes, you make them do it by using this coercive sword of contempt. Not for the purpose of personally a judge feeling that I am the boss. That's not to be done. A judge has to sympathize with people who are coming to court. Judge has to be cordial to the bar. And unless the bar and the bench are together without any chinks between them, administration of justice is not possible. You don't like judges, you pass resolutions, you boycott courts. If the judges continue to not behave properly in court, this is what is going to happen. So every judge has to find a way of dealing with the bar. As I said that lawyers have to deal with the judges, judges also have to learn like that. And what is this administration of justice for? I am telling you, without the judiciary in place in this country, executive would have run amok. And if the judiciary and executive is hand in glove, either kalsiparu anukondi, citizens would have nowhere to go. So judiciary always safeguards the rights of persons by administering justice. In administering justice, without the help of lawyers, the judges cannot do anything. So with the help of lawyers and with the assistance of competent lawyers and efficient lawyers, judges who have integrity, judges who have merit, judges who are efficient, they would be definitely taking our country forward. ఎవరో ఒక ఆయన చెప్పాడు నాతోటి, ఇతను చాలా మంచి ఆవిడండి, కొంచెం జడ్జిగా కన్సిడర్ చేయమని చెప్పాను. జడ్జిగా మంచివాడైతే అల్లుడిని చేసుకోండి, జడ్జి ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నారు? సో మంచికను ఎఫిషియన్సీకి కనెక్షన్ లేదు. దే షుడ్ బి ఎఫిషియంట్. Now I would want you to tell me what I asked you about, and anything else you can ask me, I will tell you to the best of my knowledge. Can you just pass on a mic? We'll just spend 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. I think I've taken a long time. Anything, anybody can ask me anything about what they should be and what they should do, whatever you feel about it. There's a gentleman standing there. And Constitution is suprema lex, which is the law of the land. So all these new acts, they're all statutes that are made. This is in addition to the power that is there in the Constitution, where the President has the power to pardon, as well as 163 onwards, where the Governor has the power to pardon, remit. They will continue to be the same. CRPC amendment, if I remember right, I've also not read it in detail, that speaks of whether an appeal can be filed against a remission. I think that's what it speaks of. That only takes away the remedy. But otherwise the power is there in the governor. Yes?
Please take the mic.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Ravindra Babu, advocate. My point is...
Yeah, parle chappandi. Parale chappandi.
Advocates are fighting.
ఇద్దరికి చెప్పాలి.
Advocates are fighting mainly because whenever a ruling party is there, they are getting appointed as APPs, PPs like that. This practice is unconstitutional. This is against Article 16 and also against Article 14. A separate class is being created for a ruling party. I want to stop this. If it is stopped by all, then there will be no fighting. Bar will be united. So this is also against Bar Council ethics. They are getting recommendations from MPs, MLAs, and everybody knows it. And the recommendations are with the collectors. So Bar Council also failed to consider this as unethical practice. They should sensitize the advocates. They should not do that. That is my request, and I am going to fight
Against the Bar
Anybody
Council. Yes. See, Bar Council members, to the best of my knowledge, are elected people, is it not?
Yes.
Number one. Number two, about appointment of law officers of the government. What do you suggest it should be? Because law officers are legal advisor to the government. And the government have the liberty to appoint their own persons. So you have to bring in level playing field should be through political resources. What is it that law can do?
How a doctor is engaged, a police officer is recruited, like that a lawyer is recruited.
Recruitment for law officers.
Not only recruit, even a contract.
I think the state can make such certain rules saying that there should be recruitment.
That is my demand. This is against constitution. They cannot make any rule beyond constitution.
Very good. You do that, file a writ petition. Yes. No, because there's nothing I can comment about it. Whatever you said is correct.
He's talking about right to advocates.
Right to?
CPs, APPs.
Yeah, correct. See, that's why he says that there should be parity in appointment of law officers. That should be done by the government.
The final year student of National Law University Visakhapatnam. Sir, as you said, you said that more than 5 crores cases are pending in this country, and if you see, the people are suffering a lot from in this adversarial system. What would be the solution for that? For this, sir?
There is no solution. But otherwise, I'm going to tell you something. There's no quick fix solution. There's no magic wand. Recently, I was speaking in a conference in London. They asked me, if you have a magic wand, what is it that you would do? I said, I'll wipe out all the arrears in Indian courts. So, there's no magic wand. But all of you must have heard about this alternate dispute resolution. In alternate dispute resolution, you have arbitration, you have conciliation. Conciliation has gone, now you have mediation. I'm going to talk to you about mediation. Now, good that you reminded me. I think the Bar Council recently has made a suggestion to the colleges to include mediation in its curriculum. The Mediation Act has come. And according to the Mediation Act, any private settlement, it need not be through courts, is also enforceable. Though it has not been notified because the rules relating to Mediation Commission are being finalized, it's not been notified. It will be notified very soon. Once that comes, I would suggest that lawyers have to take up mediation seriously. I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I've met people from the mediation bar in Singapore and in London and in the other countries. The mediation bar and lawyers in mediation are making more money than lawyers in litigation. So don't think that this is an activity which is only being done for the purpose of satisfying somebody. Even according to the Mediation Act, there is no problem of charging. Even if you see cases that are referred to by court for mediation, though the schedule is less, there is a thought of increasing even that schedule of fees. To be a mediator, first things first, lawyers should take this seriously because it will not only wipe out arrears, it will also infuse confidence in the public that their cases are being decided. All of you must be knowing about Section 89 CPC. Before a civil judge starts trial, he should call the parties and ask them as to whether a case before the judge can be sent for mediation. And if the parties agree, the judge sends the case to the court-annexed mediation center. I am told now that there are not sufficient mediators who are trained in this state, in this country. So recently, the Supreme Court, which is called the MCPC, Mediation, Conciliation and Project Committee, they're coming out with online modules for mediation training. I'm going to speak to them after this speech. I was trying to tell them, I'm thinking of telling the Bar Council that they should start mediation training for lawyers in the state. I've already spoken to your Chief Justice. He reacted favorably. We have a judicial academies here. We don't have academies for lawyers. I've been telling Ramarao for the past 10 years as to the need for starting an academy for lawyers. So if a training can be conducted, if you take up the training, don't think that training is something which you can't go through after spending time. After my retirement, I underwent 2 training courses of mediation of 40 hours each, just to learn what mediation is, just to understand how mediation is going to help in litigation. I found it to be very good. And I was a mediator in very important matters which are pending for 25-30 years because of an assignment by the Supreme Court. The satisfaction that I got while mediating a dispute is completely different from adjudicating a dispute. Both parties go home happily. So there's no winner and a loser. Both parties win. And then you put an end to that litigation. The recommendation that I'll make is that all of you take this mediation seriously. Those of you who are interested in mediation in an alternate profession, so you can undergo training, and I'm sure there are so many cases which can be mediated. It's not only family disputes, it's not only diverse matters, commercial matters, consumer matters. All these statutes have a provision that the courts have to send them to mediation, including the Companies Act. There is a provision that mediation has to be attempted first. Please take mediation seriously. And I'm sure that the Bar Council would start this mediation trainings, because I'm heading the Hyderabad Arbitration Center. We have been training people. I will send trainers from Delhi, and if the Bar Council is willing to accept it, we'll have some trainings here for mediation, which will help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sir, regarding noble profession, I feel that this profession has lost its nobility, sir. Basically, majorly because of this law schools. See, but just by paying 15,000 a year, no need to go to the fee. You can college. You are easily getting a degree, sir. And I feel that strongly this regulations should start from the law schools, sir. I feel that Bar Council of India, as prescribed by the Bar Council Act, should regulate these law schools, sir. And basically from that, the change begins. What I strongly observe in the state of Andhra Pradesh also, by paying per annum by 15,000, no need to go to classes, they are managing the attendance. Simply they will be giving the attendance and you can write the exams and getting a degree. Just advocate. Even that's the situation in the states. So that should be regulated, sir.
Yes, systemic problems.
Yes, sir. And as you said, law and justice. See, law is the road to reach the final destination of justice, sir. But nowadays, if you see that this, even the rowdy cheaters and these people are doing better justice in our area. I am from a small town called Amalapuram, sir, where people have more faith in these people, white and white politicians, than lawyers and courts. Because if you go to a court to settle a partition suit between a family, it is taking 10-12 years. That people simply doing mediation. Give me 5 acres. Okay, you took 5 acres, done. Simply partition done in one day. Sir, we are getting instant coffee, instant WhatsApp chats, everything instant, but no instant justice in this country, sir.
Yes. Don't be dejected.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, I just taking it as an illustration.
You should have hope.
Yes, sir.
You should have hope that the system will change.
Yes, sir. There should be some change. Should begin.
Let us hope it will change.
Sure, sir.
We'll bring back the nobility together. It's only youngsters like you who can do that.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Sir, one more thing, sir.
Thank you.
Noble profession, he has expressed a noble profession of law. Actually, we do call you as a baron. Baron. You are a baron. We are proud of you, sir.
Thank you.
Actually, I enrolled in the Supreme Court Bar Association, sir, recently. Small things, how to progress in Supreme Court. Let you give a little bit guidance.
Yeah, already I have overshot my time.
Sir,
Later.
Okay, sir.
ఈ డిస్ప్యూట్ రెజల్యూషన్లో మీడియేషన్లో లాయర్స్ పార్ట్ అండ్ లాయర్స్ని ఎక్స్క్లూడ్ చేస్తున్నారు సార్. ఎందుకు ఈ సిస్టంలో ఈ మీడియేషన్ అనేది, ఈ ఏడిఆర్ అనేది సక్సెస్ కావట్లేదంటే, ఈ లాయర్స్ని ఎప్పుడైతే ఆ మీడియేషన్లో ఎక్స్క్లూడ్ చేసి లాయర్స్తో పని లేకుండా ఈ కోర్టులో కేసెస్ ఎప్పుడైతే క్లోజ్ చేస్తున్నారో అప్పుడు లాయర్స్ దీనికి సపోర్ట్ చేయట్లేదు సార్. సో వాట్ మై ఒపీనియన్ ఈజ్, సో బీ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది లాయర్. ఎందుకంటే ఆ మీడియేషన్లో లాయర్స్ని కానీ బోత్ పార్టీస్ని కానీ ఇంక్లూడ్ చేస్తే బోత్ పార్టీస్ని లాయర్స్ కూడా ఉండాలి అని చెప్పేసి ఏదైనా ఒక రూలింగ్స్ కానీ ఏదైనా ఒక సిస్టమ్ కానీ తీసుకొని వస్తే ఈ ఆల్టర్నేట్ డిస్ప్యూట్ రెజల్యూషన్ సిస్టమ్ ఏదైతే మీడియేషన్ ఉంది, ఎందుకంటే ఈ మీడియేషన్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ అవర్ జీన్స్. ఎందుకంటే మనం బిఫోర్ కమింగ్ టు ది కోర్ట్ బోత్ పార్టీస్ ఒక మధ్యస్థం చేసుకొని ఒక మీడియేషన్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత అక్కడ కుదరకపోతేనే కోర్టుకు వస్తారు. సో ఇక్కడికి వచ్చిన తర్వాత మీడియేషన్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఇక్కడ ఒక బోత్ పార్టీస్కి బోత్ లాయర్స్ ఉంటారు, ఆ లాయర్స్ని కూడా పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది మీడియేషన్ చేయకుండా ఉండండి, దానివల్ల ఈ సిస్టమ్ ఫెయిల్ అవుతుంది. సో ఏడిఆర్లో అంటే మీరు ఒక మంచి సజెషన్ చేశారు. సో మీడియేషన్ గురించి మొత్తం అందరికీ చెప్పాలి, లాయర్స్ని ఎడ్యుకేట్ చేయాలని చెప్పి ఈ లాయర్స్ని కూడా ఈ మీడియేషన్లో ఇంక్లూడ్ చేసి, ఎందుకంటే ఆఫ్టర్ ఆల్ ది లాయర్స్ ఆర్ ఈకింగ్ దేర్ లైవ్లీహుడ్ విత్ దిస్ ప్రొఫెషన్. కేసు లాయర్కి తెలియకుండా వెళ్ళిపోయి మీడియేషన్ అయిపోయి క్లోజ్ అయిపోతుంటే ఎక్కడో ఈ కోర్ట్స్లో చూసుకున్న తర్వాతనే లాయర్ తెలుస్తుంది. సో ఇది లేకుండా చేసి లాయర్స్ని కూడా ఇంక్లూడ్ చేసి దీంట్లో పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది చేస్తే బాగుంటుందని చెప్పేసి నా ఉద్దేశం సార్.
లాయర్స్ ని మీడియేషన్ ప్యానల్స్ లో ఇంక్లూడ్ చేయాలంటే
కంటిన్యూషన్ సార్, జస్ట్ కంటిన్యూషన్ yes. In this context, the role of police was very well developed in the Lok Adalat system. So by excluding the advocates, so it is promoting by the it may be a allegation, so presiding officers.
Yes,
in the courts.
I know how the Lok Adalat is working. I don't want to be too critical about it. But when I said mediation, it's not Lok Adalat. So both of you are not correct in what you're saying. I'm talking about mediations in civil courts.
Civil court.
And mediators who are appointed are only lawyers, not anybody else. And who is going to be appointed? A trained mediator.
Yes.
And when are you going to get trained? That's the reason why I'm asking all of you get trained. There will be a panel that will be prepared and only mediators who are lawyers will be appointed. I'm not talking about Lok Adalat.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll end again by saying, నేను వచ్చేప్పుడు ఏమనుకున్నానో మొదట్లో చెప్పాను. నేను చెప్పిన కొన్నైనా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. I'll be very happy for coming all the way from Delhi to speak to you. Thank you.
Sir, you were saying that we should avoid bench shopping. Don't see which way the judge is inclined to rule. But we don't live in an ideal world. We know that certain judges, even in the Supreme Court, are inclined to rule in a certain way. If we take your advice, how do we balance it with the duty to the client, where we have to get the best outcome for the client also?
See, I never said that you should not raise your voice. A lawyer should be independent, a lawyer should be fearless. Whenever you feel that some injustice is being done, whether it will be the Supreme Court or the High Court, you have a right to raise your voice, to bring it to the notice of the Chief Justice or even to the public that this is what is happening. You know of a few lawyers in the Supreme Court who do it. If you are timid, you can go to them and ask them to raise this point. One thing that you should remember is all lawyers should be courageous as the judges should be. If at all there is something wrong happening on the other side of the bar, the lawyers should not take it lying low. I'm not saying go and beat him up, but otherwise raise the point, raise the issue, and a person definitely would learn. So I can't give any solution to what you are asking. There are instances where wrongdoings are happening, but as an association of lawyers, you are the lawyers who have to raise it up. Please don't take anything lying low. Raise these issues. Thank you.
Thank you.